Hey everyone, welcome to Breakout Wednesday for the 14th of May, 2:25. It's currently coming up to 9 a.m. on the West Coast, 11 a.m. on the East Coast. First of all, remember this is never financial advice, not a financial advisor. This is simply a video blog on how one trader sees the market, and everyone needs to take responsibility for their own decisions. Let's go through some of the stuff I've been talking about quickly. So, there's been nothing short of an amazing rally since that huge gap down day. All right. This was the day I bought some gear. I had to get a bit more. It wasn't like right on the lows or anything, but I didn't really time the bottom perfectly on that one or anything. But you don't really need to time it perfectly. As long as you are buying when there's blood on the streets, then you tend to in the long run do well from it when you're just buying good assets and stuff. But anyway, straight up from there, and this is around about the time when all the numpties start realizing that the market's good. And then everyone starts trading again, and all these old members of Pro Trader will start coming back because the market's good, and then as soon as they're back, the market dumps and they quit again, right? So it is the cycle of life of most traders, and I see it, I live it, just watching people self-sabotage their lives time after time and never learning. And I don't mean to be ranting, but it is what is currently happening. More people coming back in, and the market will probably whack them in a week or two. Okay, so just be careful, because there's some great trades, but the market will suck everyone in and then punish them a little bit with a little bit of a correction and shake them out. Okay, when that will happen, who knows? This market is relentless at the moment. Let's just look at some of these amazing setups that some of us have been in. Hopefully the diligent ones who do their work every day with no excuses, right? REG, holy shit. If you didn't take that, then I don't get it. I don't know why in the hell anyone who says that they're a technical trader, breakout trader, would not think that that's perfect, okay? But anyway, haven't sold a share. I'm hanging in there, okay? This is the sort of setup like Reg and EOL. Like, I just try and hang in for as long as I can. Let them do their thing, because I've learned that the big money is made in riding these trends for as long as humanly possible. Okay, until it tells me to get the hell out. And the other side of the trade, in which I don't talk about heaps, but I'm gonna start talking about it way more, is scalping. All right, and I love doing it. I mean, doing it, since I was a kid, pretty much. And that's literally pure trading, okay? I'm not caring about the overall trend. I'm finding tiny little entries that no one else has seen, or not that many people have seen. I'm getting in and I'm dumping the entire lot of profit target, and I'm banking my money like a bandit and running away, okay? Very, very different styles of trading. And I'm going to talk more about the scalping as I move forward, especially in the forum, because it happens quickly. And sometimes, you're doing things out once a week. It's pretty kind of useless for that. Now, let's just move on to some other stuff. The PME trade's been by far my biggest position, because as I've outlined in the forum and on here, I bought here, I pyramided here. Yesterday, I sold half of the entire position, so I'm down to the same number of shares as I started with on the first buy, okay? That is perfection in terms of pyramiding for me and exiting, and I just wish this would come along more often. This is the smart people were selling a bit yesterday, 100%, right? Not just in PME, but in a lot of stocks that were just gapping up and rallying strong. Okay, doesn't mean, I'm not saying the market's not going to keep rallying. I'm just saying that if it goes straight up from here, the seasoned traders that know what the market's capable of will be trimming some into strength. I'd say that majority would be, okay. Doesn't mean they're not taking new trades, as I'm about to talk about, right? Now, let's go another one. The BHP setup that I was talking about, okay? It's fighting these long-term moving averages, okay? But talked about this big swing down here, this huge base, came up, hit resistance, support turn resistance, based, and then broke out, okay? So I've entered that, and I'm in that, okay? I've also owned that in a long-term account, but I've also trading it, okay? Let's see how that plays out. I took a loss, right? Even in a great market, I still take losses, right? And so ACNT stopped out here. I had a stop below 12.70. It stopped me out right when it was breaking and then dumped, okay? It was a good setup. I'm glad I took it, right? There's nothing wrong with that setup. This is just trading. Like, it's small loss. Who gives a shit, right? I don't even, it's just, these days, like, I don't know. I don't even feel the thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't register in my brain as something bad. It's just part of life. It's just part of business, Just the losses in the books. Zero shit's given, and you move on to the next trade. The EOL trade, it just every day just ticks up, right? It's amazing, and it's going to stop eventually, isn't it? But I'm riding that, and I've already talked about gear. Okay, now some new shit, right? NAND broke out this morning, and the fills on it were hard. I had to pay up a little bit more than I wanted, but there were certainly a lot of people trying to get shares right between 4.95 and 4.98. But it did come back down after a little bit, and managed to get more off at 4.98. So I think my average price on that was about 4.98. Okay, and so let's see. That is a wonderful setup, and just because I've talked about the market's been hot and a lot of people, smart people should have just trimmed a little bit into strength, doesn't mean I won't be rotating that profit into new base breakouts, okay? Because in a hot market, this is where I want my money at. Like the best time to have your money in the market is right here, right? When these things are breaking out, okay? Because then the chances of an explosive move up to 5.4, 5.5, whatever, is very, very high. Whereas the last thing I want to be doing is buying up here and chasing up here, which is what a lot of people unfortunately do. So NAM, a new trade. I am looking still at MAU. Just because this is kind of perfect now, isn't it? All right. And by the way, I'm actually already got a starter in MAU. Let's go from here. Where was my starter? My starter was there, right? Bang. Okay. So showed a loss. Thought I was going to get stopped out. Wasn't. And then I'm still in it. All right. Still might get stopped out. Okay. The initial stop, for those that want to know, was down here. Okay. And now it's moved up just a few ticks below there. So that might get stopped out. Zero shits, but I got a starter on it, and if it just stays in there and then pokes its head above, bang, I'll be adding to that. Okay, what's another one? The finance stocks, like the alternative finance stocks, are so strong. Like AFG, like for those I've been a long-term sufferer investor in PPM, and I'm still in it in the self-managed super fund, and it's just been going nowhere for a long time, but it's been paying really good dividends. I think 7 or 8% or something, fully franked, and so this now is really strong. Okay, I haven't added to that up there or anything, but the reason I brought that up is that they're all doing it. Australian Finance Group, AFG, it's in a Davis box now. It's not ready for me yet, but I'm just looking at that sector-wide strength in those little finance names, and just watching them, putting it on a watch list. Okay, and I might trade AFG out of that if it can box away for a bit longer. There's a lot that are strong, like CCL, is the same. All these little inside bars within this first bar. These are not all inside bars, by the way, but let's just call them inside range bars. And it's just basing away. This is a relatively new float. You can see back here, it floated here, had a big dump as usual, based sideways, all these little inside ranges, and basing away. There's a lot like that. Some other big bases, like EML, is basing like massive resistance here to contend with. This is a hard stock, very volatile. Like, if you're an investor, you're just kind of one of those things you just put in the bottom drawer and never look at because it swings around so much. But big resistance up here. And the question now is, what do you do? Like, this has run pretty much island reversal, run up, banging into resistance. I'm personally not gonna take that if that broke out today or tomorrow, whatever. But I'm watching it to see if it can then give me a tight handle. For this to make sense to me, I would have to have a stop down here, and it's just too wide. That's just not where my edge is, guys. Like having big, wild, loose things like this. There's too much of an air pocket here, and I just want that to now give me some tightness. But it might run without me. That's life, Like there's no 100% right way to do this shit. Everyone's just kind of winging it. And it was the same with FBU, right? Like, I've been talking about this for ages, right? And there's some good articles on FBU on the Fin Review. If you subscribe, about the troubles in New Zealand and in the construction game, and how they've been in this position before where they actually keep raising capital when they get in the shit at the bottom of cycles, and they kind of raise the cap at a bad price, and they got a bad history of share buybacks where they're buying back shares when they're not depressed in value, and 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 the dividends this company's paid out over the years is about equal to the cap raises they've done. So it's like, fundamentally, don't get me wrong, like this is not a great company. No, this is not a company that can take 100 million from a bunch of investors and turn that into 400 million, for example, right? This is a company that will take 100 million from investors and turn it into 100 million, okay? And so like, it's not fantastic fundamentally, but it's got, from a technical analysis point of view, this has had this nice base, and it's like a Stan Weinstein kind of stage 1 base. All right. Now the only thing here is like, like it kind of flushed and then higher low, and then it's run up, and then it gave one day of kind of VCP here on the 9th of May, and then it broke out. Is that enough? Okay, and like, would a stop be here? I'm not in it just because there's so many damn trades around. I decided to just chill out on it and see what happens, and maybe if it buggers around here, I can get in a little bit if some cash frees up. But there was a point yesterday morning where I was about 130% in the market, right? All my cash was gone, and I had a bunch of CFD positions on, and I literally just didn't have another buck to spend, and so I've got to allocate it carefully, and I think that it's key, like when the market's this hot, you need to be looking at your account and just making sure that all your money's working for you. I feel like the best traders have this way of just moving into the market and getting their cash working for them when the market's hot. And as of right now, I can tell you I'm back to about 68% invested because I've done a lot of trimming yesterday and a little bit this morning. Anyway, that is about it, guys. Like when you're doing your scans right now, you'll actually find that there's not that many Davis boxes at this second. There's not that many setups this second because everything's already moved. All right. I think FEX was maybe thinking about breaking out this morning, but talked about it last week. I'm leaving that. I don't know. I just think I don't look. It could be a huge winner. I'm just leaving it. Right. I've got enough exposure to the mining sectors. There's been a bit of rotation, hasn't there, from from some big names back into the mining sector. I'm referring to the banks, right? There's been a bit of a sell-off in certain banks, not really CBA, right? But there's been a bit of a sell-off in various banks. Not really in NAB, ANZ. What's happening with AMP? That's not selling off. Well, am I talking shit here? Westpac. Maybe a little bit of rotation away from the banks back into miners, and because they've all been pretty strong. But I just feel like I've got enough exposure with my other trades right now. I didn't need FEX. Anyway, ranted on. That's it. There is a bunch of upgrades coming to Pro Trader soon, guys. Like. We're just working on a few little things that members have asked for in the forum, and after that I'm going to need to put a plug on any of these little things because we've got some big things I'm working on that's really getting heavily delayed, okay? Because we get getting caught in the smaller fixes, but there's some big things coming, and we're going to need 2 to 3 months of knuckling down with no small jobs really, just so the devs have complete focus on those big jobs. So you'll notice a week or two from now, we're going to go for 2 to 3 months with 0 upgrades or 0 anything being released. And that's because we are working on intraday charts, okay? And a few other things. And it's going to require a huge amount of focus from the dev team. Take care, guys. Catch ya.